And I will be the next keynote speaker, and I would like to introduce you to a new type of economy. So we call it the trustworthy economy powered by blockchain. So when we talk about trust, in my opinion, I think trust is the most important factor in our society. Because without trust, there's no community. We cannot be whole as a community. So we have three types of trust in our society. The first one is the community-based trust. It's more like a trust of self-consciousness. We wanted to fit in, we wanted to gain trust, and we wanted to be trusted, and we wanted to be part of it. And the second one is the legal system. It's the law that, in a way, forced on us, which is a trust that based on the legal system. The third one, in this nowadays, we do turn to technology for more choices. So technology provided trust that is based on mathematics. And maybe law sometimes makes mistakes, but math never makes mistakes. So why do I want to talk about trust and trustworthy economy? It's because right now the system that we are living in has its problems. Like if I say in banks we trust, I think probably a lot of people will disagree with me. But this is the truth because we do trust our banks no matter how much we do not want to admit it. If you go to a shopping mall and they ask for your identification, you probably will say why. But if you go to a bank and they ask any information you have about you, you will give it to them because they are managing our life, they're managing our daily business and also our money. So they even created a system to measure if we are trustworthy, and that system is called the credit system. So everybody is using credit card, and based on credit card, because banks normally do a very good job and very thorough job on the background to measure if you are trustworthy, how big of a loan that you should be granted. So this is a system we're having. Another problem with this system is because it's centralized. That means that all data is stored in one centralized place, and I can give you an example why this has problems. So the company called Equifax, just a couple months ago, they had a hack situation which resulted in causing 145.5 million American users' credit information being stolen. Probably sold on the black market, causing a lot of problems for society and for individuals. So this is another problem with our centralized society or problems. In this picture, you can see that we have another solution. On the left side, you see your left side, you see that this is a centralized situation, and the bank is the clearinghouse. What does it do is a very simple math work, which means that if I wire $1,000 to you, then the bank will add 1,000 to your bank account and reduce 1,000 from my bank. So with this, the bank provided a brand and also authority. With this authority, we trust each other, and because we trust the bank. So on the right side, you see this is a decentralized system where every node is bigger. There's no central authority. So in this network is more spread out, and there's no centralized place, and the data can be fairly safer. a trustworthy economy, in my opinion, I think we can work on this 4 departments. The first one is node distribution, which is basically just distribution in general. And the second one is consensus. I will introduce more heavily on this consensus. And the third one is methodology and also privacy. So who is running the blockchain without the bank being the authority? So how can we trust this system? So who is making decisions? Who is giving their yes or no to a group of people? I give you this one example. This is our Bitcoin community, and this is a map of all those managers in this community. Every dot in this map represents a node in Bitcoin chain, and right now we have 11,077 nodes that is running on the blockchain, on the Bitcoin chain, BitChain. And in the United States, we have 2,727 nodes that is running this community. So without the bank saying yes or giving the votes or making a decision, how do we make a decision? When we have that many people and nodes running the same time, how can we make sure that system works and also in a very efficient way? So here we have a mechanism called consensus, and it is also known as the core mechanism of blockchain. And we have many mechanisms that can be under this consensus mechanism, and today I will introduce 3 mechanisms that being used mostly. The first one is called POW, and stands for Proof of Work. That means that if you wanted to be the manager of the ledger, meaning that being the miner and to have the right to update this block or this ledger, then you will have to prove or you will have to complete a certain amount of work. So you can imagine a little village that you wanted to be the bookkeeper, and that you will have to prove that you are a hardworking individual. So POW is this kind of mechanism that to prove a certain amount of work, to guess the combination to open the lock, to enter your data into a block and to update this block. And the second one is called POS, stands for Proof of Stake. By this word suggested a stake, meaning that how much you invested in, that will give you accordingly how much chance that you can be this manager. So if you invested a lot, like you have a lot of stake at risk with this network, then we can trust that you won't mess around because your interest is at stake. So this is POS. It's used a lot recently because POW will cause a lot of energy consuming, which is a problem right now. And POS is an alternative to give a better solution. So the third one is called DPoS, a dedicated proof of stake. It's like our equity partner in the company, right? So individuals in this community, everybody has the vote to vote out who is going to be my representative in this community and who is going to give consent, who is to vote. And so this dedicated person is going to be the miner or the manager of the community. So this is the 3 types of consensus mechanism that used very often in blockchain community these days. So why blockchain? I think that our last speaker, Mr. Benedict Barnes, already explained how it works and why we should trust the blockchain. The first is because it's a distributed ledger, meaning that the data is not stored in one centralized place, but it's all over the world in millions of blocks. So if one block is compromised, it does not affect the system, not at all, because not like New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ, all the information is stored in a centralized place. It's fairly easy to be hacked and also cause a lot of data breach. So distributed ledger can help with data integrity. And the majority consent is the way that is what we just talked about consensus. Meaning that only when 51% of the majority gave the consent, a change can occur on the network. Otherwise, it will not happen. So with this mechanism, we can make sure that this system is fair and transparent. Any data is out there for everybody to check or review. So in this way, we can make sure that the information on the block is true and it's not false information. And the fourth one is the encryption technology. So all information stored in this ledger is encrypted. That means that we can protect people's privacy in a very good way. So when we talk about a trustworthy economy, we also talk about a trustworthy person or person's information. Sometimes we do encounter situations that you will have to prove who you are, who you claim to be, and also a lot of identity thefts that they are counting on the lack of security of an individual. Maybe you lost your identity information or privacy to someone, and one day that you found out that you had another bank transaction that you have no idea and why or when and who is doing that. So with blockchain, we can create a digital identity that will solve the problem of double spending. So blockchain is originally designed to solve the double spending problem that Benedict was just mentioning. Meaning that if I gave you $100, that means I cannot use this $100 again. So building a unique digital identity based on blockchain is a solution to build your own image in this digital community. And also, once your digital identity is written on this ledger, we can be sure that this version will be the only version of it. And also, as the owner of this information, you have two keys. The first key is the private key, and another key is the public key. When you need to verify yourself to somebody, then you use your public key, so you don't have to review too much information. Like sometimes you go to a place, they wanted to know who you are, and then you give them your passport, and you give them your driver's license, but sometimes it's unnecessary to review that much information. And also creating a digital identity on this block, we can break down the geographic barriers. So a little bit about our Epiphany exchange. We are a compliance-ready community-based digital asset trading platform and introducing a new feature called brokerage service. What it would do is to help investors, like beginners in this blockchain community, to make better decisions with less risks. And how do we do it is to using digital identity that based on blockchain to build your identity and complete the KYC through this multi-factor authentication. And the private key is generated by a third-party company, so it will be a great wall between the company, between the platform and the users. And also with the identity data encrypted on this platform, everybody's privacy is protected. And also we have our own POS ranking system, meaning that to become a broker, you need to have votes. And more votes you have, more stakes you have, that means that the community will select you to be a better or a good broker. And we are developing our own network, and a multi-tier blockchain system is in the making to integrate different blockchain system so we can build a real decentralized platform. And the centralized exchange and the decentralized exchange both has its pros and cons. Like a centralized exchange, they have higher trading performance and also maybe it's more user friendly, but it has some security flaws. And also decentralized exchange with the higher security, but the performance also like the interface might not as friendly as the centralized platform. But we do think that in blockchain, decentralization is definitely the future and the goal. And we already have acquired, we already have registered 5 states money business service, which I think Dr. Allison already introduced to us. FinCEN, Financial Crime Enforcement Network under the Department of Treasury, is issuing this kind of license. And only with this license, you can do a money transmitting business in the United States. And every state has different rules. So doing business in the States requires you to have 50 states of this money business service permit. And also, we started the ATS registration with SEC. ATS stands for Alternative Trading System. So right now, this is a new rule, and according to SEC, every exchange in the States will have to register with this program. And we are also looking for these 4 different parties. First is exchanges, because Epiphany is not a single exchange, but a union or alliance of a compliance exchange. So if you are running also exchange and wanted to have business in the US, we're looking for more cooperations with you. And the brokers, we wanted to work with licensed financial institutions like VCs and fund managers. Also community leaders. We are here in Stanford, where it's full of tenants, and we wanted to see if anyone wanted to join Epiphany's team and to work together. And also the third one is very important. We have this EPN Super Lab, and we wanted to find creative teams and also creative projects so we can build a digital community together. Well, thank you very much, and this is our Telegram group, and if you have any questions, we can talk on Telegram or we can talk after this event.